The American Now studio blazes with lights, the atmosphere electric like an arena on the verge of erupting. The audience packs the stands, creating a starkly dramatic contrast. One side donning bright red mega hats, the other side filled with defiant-eyed liberal fans' whispers, and the shifting of chairs blend, heating up the tension. Before the main event, all eyes are locked on the stage where two figures prepare to clash: Trevor Noah, a global comedy icon, and Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history. Tonight's live broadcast promises a fierce showdown, a brutal collision of two opposing ideologies. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. A host, a seasoned journalist with a calm demeanor, steps into the spotlight, his voice resonating over the noise. Welcome to America Now. Tonight we'll witness a cultural and political clash. Trevor Noah, former host of The Daily Show, just released a viral video mocking the administration's immigration and trade policies, even calling Karoline Leavitt a robot mouthpiece. The video spread like wildfire across X, and now we're about to see an unyielding face-off. The crowd erupts, clapping wildly. Trevor Noah strides out, his signature smile gleaming under the lights. In a sleek blazer, he exudes natural charisma, waving to the audience before delivering a jab. I heard the administration's planning to tax laughter. I be bankrupt. The liberal crowd roars with laughter, but the mega group growls their boos, nearly drowning out the studio. Noah's video, a sharp satire of border security measures and tariffs, has racked up millions of views on X's mimicry of Leavitt's press briefing style, complete with a quip about her robotic delivery, went viral with a hashtag Noah blows up, sparking a firestorm that Karoline couldn't ignore. The air grows heavy like the calm before battle as the audience falls silent, only the faint creak of chairs audible from the stands where mega supporters and liberal fans sit in opposition. Their gazes defiant. Trevor Noah, with a confident smile, stands casually by the mic, his eyes twinkling as if ready for a comedy routine. Across from him, Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, radiates cold confidence, her sharp eyes like blades, her hand resting lightly on the podium, poised to strike. The mix of applause and boos fades, giving way to a charged silence. The host, with a composed air of a veteran journalist, speaks clearly and decisively into the hushed room. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into the heart of tonight's dialogue. On this stage are two powerful voices, Trevor Noah and Karoline Leavitt. We expect a frank, sharp, and unflinching exchange. He pauses, his gaze sweeping the audience, then continues. Trevor, you criticize the administration's immigration and trade policies. Are they really as harmful as you claim? Noah leans into the mic, his signature smile lighting up the stage. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. He begins, his tone light but incisive. I'm not here to start a war, but let's look at this as administration builds walls, a divide not just at the border but in people's hearts and tariffs. A recent report shows consumer prices up 15% due to import taxes. Americans are paying the price from coffee to clothes. I use satire to show people the truth through laughter, because politics isn't just numbers, it's lives. The liberal crowd laughs loudly, raising hands in support, but the mega group roars their jeers, piercing the air. Leavitt doesn't flinch, her eyes locked on Noah. She waits for the noise to subside, then steps closer to the mic, her voice clear and cutting. Trevor, you tell a good story, but your story lacks truth, she retorts, prompting raucous applause from the mega crowd. You say the wall divides, I say it protects. Illegal immigration is down 30% thanks to our policies. Tariffs, they've driven 4% economic growth, creating 2 million new jobs. Do you have data to counter that, or just jokes to make the audience laugh? The mega crowd cheers while Noah's fans exchange glances, caught off guard by her intensity. Noah raises an eyebrow, still smiling. Karoline, you're a numbers pro, he replies, his tone dripping with sarcasm, but numbers don't tell the whole story. Last week I met an immigrant family in Texas whose kids were separated because of your policies. They cried not over data but over a broken family. My humor gives them a voice, showing Americans the real cost of that wall. The liberal crowd claps, but Leavitt cuts in sharply. Americans, Trevor, she asks, her voice icy. You talk about Americans, but do you know how workers in Michigan who lost jobs to illegal immigration feel? I represent them, not people laughing at their struggles from air-conditioned rooms. The mega crowd explodes, chanting. Karoline Leavitt presses on. You talk about the cost of tariffs, but do you know that 15% price hike is offset by millions of manufacturing jobs? What's your solution? Noah shakes his head, trying to stay composed. Karoline, you talk jobs, but Americans are paying more for everything. He fires back. My humor doesn't just make people laugh, it asks, who do these policies serve, workers or big corporations? He points to the audience, but the liberal applause is weaker, as if sensing Leavitt's pressure. Leavitt smiles, her eyes never leaving Noah. You ask questions, but you dodge answers, she says, her voice sharp as a blade. What does the media like you do besides mock? Are you accountable to your millions of viewers, or just chasing views on X? The mega crowd laughs loudly, the pressure weighing on Noah. The atmosphere is suffocating like an arena reaching its climax. The audience sits still, eyes glued to Trevor Noah and Karoline Leavitt, two figures turning the dialogue into a tense battle. Noah's signature smile now carries a hint of strain as he adjusts his blazer, preparing to respond. Leavitt, her sharp eyes fixed on her opponent, stands Firm at the podium, her hand resting. Lightly but resolutely, the mix of applause and boos from MAGA and liberal fans creates a chaotic symphony. The host, with his calm demeanor, raises a hand, his voice cutting through. Trevor, Karoline, both of you have delivered sharp perspectives. Let's dig deeper. Are the administration's immigration and trade policies helping or hurting America? Noah takes a breath, his gaze sweeping the audience, trying to regain ground. Folks, let's talk about the real cost of these policies. He begins, his tone serious and sharp. This administration tightens asylum processes, detaining thousands in camps. A UN report estimates the U.S. spends $20 billion a year on these facilities. That's money that could go to education, healthcare, and the human cost. I visited a camp in New Mexico, met a refugee mother from Honduras. She fled violence, but was detained like a criminal, her child kept from her. Is that the America we want? The liberal crowd claps loudly, some standing to cheer on. Trade tariffs are wrecking supply chains. An MIT study shows 25% of global supply chains disrupted by import taxes. American businesses, from factories to shops, are struggling. My satire speaks for them. Leavitt doesn't waver, gripping the embassy, her voice clear and cutting. Trevor, you tell another touching story, but you're dodging the truth. She replies, sparking cheers from the MAGA crowd. You say detention camps cost $20 billion. I say they protect national security. The Department of Homeland Security reports strict asylum policies cut fake applications by 40%, stopping system abuses. You talk about the Honduran mud, I talk about Americans in California safer because we control the border. Our policies put national duty first. A MAGA crowd erupts, chanting Karoline, while Noah's fans exchange quiet glances. Noah shakes his head, his eyes tense. Karoline, you talk security, but you forget humanity. He counters those attention. Camps aren't solutions, they are prisons in disguise. I met a 10-year-old boy in Texas who hasn't seen his mom in 6 months because of your asylum process. That's not security, it's injustice and tariffs. They are crushing small businesses. A U.S. Chamber of Commerce report says 30% of small factories cut jobs due to rising import costs. My satire asks who benefits from these policies, the people or big corporations? A liberal crowd cheers, but the noise is softer as if overshadowed by Leavitt's sharpness. Leavitt smiles coldly, refusing to let Noah gain the upper hand. The people, Trevor, she asks, her voice sharp as a blade. You talk about small businesses, but do you know tariffs have boosted domestic manufacturing investment by 30%? Factories in Wisconsin, Indiana are hiring thousands because we protect them from unfair Chinese competition. You talk about the boy in Texas, I talk about families in Arizona sleeping easier because we stop illegal border crossings. You want humanity, fine, but what's your solution for handling 1 million asylum applications a year without overwhelming the system? The MAGA crowd leaps to their feet, clapping furiously, while Noah's fans mutter in dissent. Noah tries to regain ground, pointing at the audience. Karoline, you talk about investment, but you forget consumers. He says, his voice rising. I met a shop owner in Oregon who had to raise prices because tariffs increased import costs. Her customers, ordinary Americans, are suffering, and the asylum policy, it doesn't stop criminals, it punishes the innocent. My satire reminds us that America was once a place of welcome, not detention. The liberal crowd responds with cautious applause as the debate rages on. Fans cheer, but Leavitt swiftly interrupts and welcomes Trevor with an icy tone. She declares that America welcomes only when laws are enforced and when American businesses can compete globally. While Trevor talks about an Oregon shop owner, she counters by mentioning workers in Michigan who now have steady jobs because manufacturing is protected. And when he brings up refugees, she challenges him to propose a way to manage the influx without chaos. The MAGA crowd laughs loudly as the pressure bears down on Noah, whose smile has turned thin in force. He adjusts his blazer, trying to hide his tension, while Leavitt, with eyes sharp, his blade stands confidently at the podium. The studio is filled with a chaotic mix of applause and boos from both MAGA and liberal fans. The host raises his hand and asked about the media's role in shaping policy perceptions. Leavitt steps forward, declaring the media has the biggest problem, prompting roaring applause from the MAGA crowd. She accuses liberal journalists like Trevor turning politics into a joke, citing a Pew study that claims 65% of Americans believe liberal media distorts the truth. She argues that their asylum policy cut fake applications by 40% and challenges Trevor to stop turning truth into a punchline. The MAGA crowd chants her name, while Noah's fans exchange uneasy glances. Noah responds by claiming the media is a people's voice and that his humor exposes rather than distorts, citing Columbia Journalism Institute report showing 70% of Americans want media to question the government, not echo it. He talks about telling stories that expose suffering and injustice like detention camps and disrupted supply chains. His words earn cheers, but they are faint compared to the MAGA side. Leavitt refuses to back down, calling Trevor's approach emotional manipulation rather than accountability. She cites a Gallup poll indicating only 30% of Americans trust liberal journalism and insists her side boosted domestic manufacturing and prioritize American protection over unchecked refugee admission. She accuses Trevor of just wanting to make people cry. The mega crowd erupt again, drowning out the studio. Noah tries to push back, pointing to a restaurant owner hurt by tariffs and accusing the administration of turning innocent asylum seekers into numbers. He insists that satire reminds people of America's ideals while the liberal fans applaud. Their energy is still overshadowed by Leavitt's dominance. Leavitt responds coldly, reinforcing the idea that opportunity only comes when laws are enforced. She brings up workers in Pennsylvania helped by manufacturing protections and highlights the 500,000 yearly immigration law violations that strain the system. She accuses Trevor's media of dividing Americans and asks if he cares more about shares than truth. The mega crowd laughs as the pressure on Noah mounts. He counters that the administration is a true source of division, referencing a Stanford study showing most Americans feel immigration policy fuels social tension. He says his media clarifies, not divides, and serves as a bridge. The liberal fans cheer, but Leavitt cuts in, asserting that Trevor's media is a wall, not a bridge. He references a Rasmussen poll showing 70% of Americans want tighter borders and accuses him of telling only one side. The mega crowd cheers while Noah's fans murmur in dissent. The host notes the tension as the audience holds its breath watching the two clash. Noah tries to reclaim the stage, asserting that media should expose truth, citing a Sharon Stein Center survey showing 55% of Americans agree. He describes stories of people hurt by policy, but Leavitt fires back, claiming he only amplifies narratives that suit his agenda. She references an Edelman Institute study saying 60% of Americans believe liberal media pushes them to extremes. She argues her media gives voice to Americans ignored by elites. The mega crowd chants Karoline while Noah's fans remain quiet. He shakes his head and accuses her administration of causing fear in schools and insists satire helps the public understand policies, citing an NYU study. But Leavitt stays firm, accusing Trevor of drawing conclusions, not asking questions. She says she met police officers who credit strict policies for reducing crime by 20% and challenges his claim about media helping understanding by saying 70% want honest, balanced reporting. She calls his platform propaganda cherry-picking. Liberal stories to divide. The mega crowd erupts again, drowning out Noah's defense. He tries once more, accusing her of parroting government lines while he tells stories of those harmed by their actions, but his words are buried under mega boos. Leavitt steps forward, striking the final blow, declaring Trevor doesn't understand truth and accusing him of mocking Americans' pain. She labels him a foreigner who turns politics into a circus, citing Quinnipiac poll that shows 80% want media focus on fact. She claims to represent the people while questioning who Trevor represents. The mega crowd explodes into cheers as Noah falters, trying to speak, but his word collapses under the roar. The host jumps in, thanking both for fiery dialogue as the lights dim, and the crowd's tension spills into the hallways. Audience members clash loudly, some supporting Noah, others mocking him. Social media explodes. X trends with a hashtag Leavitt feeds Noah and memes flood. The internet. One viral image mocks Noah with a caption, "When you think satire wins everything, but you meet Karoline." Conservative users hail her as a truth queen, while liberal users try to push back using the hashtag Noah Speaks Truth and defending his arguments. Memes and video clips fly across platforms, but conservative content dominates. TikTok and YouTube are flooded with recreations of Leavitt's most powerful lines, like "Who do you represent besides yourself?" YouTubers celebrate her as a destroyer of liberal elites, while liberal TikTokers attempt to defend Noah with much lower engagement. Mainstream media joins the frenzy, with Fox News praising Leavitt as a rising star, while MSNBC criticizes her personal attacks. Comedians and commentators pick sides, with Jimmy Kimmel saying Leavitt didn't play fair and Tucker Carlson claiming she gave Hollywood a lesson. The Showdown becomes a cultural milestone, analysts cited in discussions about polarization in media responsibility. A Stanford study finds most Americans believe these debates deepen divides but also clarify issues. Leavitt emerges stronger than ever, gaining praise from conservative leaders and supporters. Her role in the administration is elevated, with appearances on Newsmax and high polling numbers among conservatives. Meanwhile, Noah's image suffers among conservatives, but his liberal base defends him. He responds with a special episode reflecting on the event and shifts toward international projects, choosing to explore global immigration rather than dive back into American political debates. The clash marks a defining moment in media and politics, triggering national conversations and cultural waves. It becomes a symbol of division, but also the power of media to challenge or reinforce narratives. As the dust settles, Karoline Leavitt stands as a symbol of strength for her base, while Trevor Noah begins a journey to rebuild his message in a polarized landscape with no off switch. These shows turn the battle into comedic fodder, but also highlight questions About Satire's role in politics, conversely conservative podcasts like The Daily Wire praise Leavitt, calling her the one who ended Hollywood's antics, making her a cultural icon for those opposing liberal media. The clash also sparks deeper discussions in college classrooms. Professors use it as a case study to analyze media polarization, with student essays exploring the question, is satire still effective in a divided world? Public forums, from panels to book clubs, host debates on media responsibility, with Leavitt and Noah symbolizing opposing ideologies. A hypothetical Atlantic article remarks, Leavitt-Noah showdown is a mirror of America in 2025. One side demands truth through data, the other seeks truth through emotion. The clash ripple effect appears in pop culture. Independent artists create memes and cartoons, from Leavitt with a caption, "Truth beats satire," to Noah with laughter as a weapon. A hypothetical YouTube parody song, The Leavitt-Noah Showdown, becomes a minor hit with lyrics poking fun at both sides. The encounter is referenced in TV shows, from talk shows to sitcoms, as a way to reflect cultural divides. The story of Trevor Noah and Karoline Leavitt at America Now deeply reflect the polarization in today's U.S. society, where opposing views on policy, media, and truth collide fiercely. Noah, with his satire and human stories about refugees or small businesses hit by terrorists, represents a segment of Americans seeking empathy and questioning power. Leavitt with data like a 40% drop in fake asylum claims or a 30% rise in domestic manufacturing investment embodies a conservative prioritization of security and economic gain. The divide between them, amplified on social media with hashtags like Leavitt feeds Noah and a wave of memes, mirrors how X and TikTok turn debates into cultural battlegrounds. The immediate social media reaction and lasting fallout. Leavitt emerging as a mega icon, Noah pivoting to international projects show Americans often reinforce existing beliefs rather than seek common ground. The lesson is that in a polarized society, listening and genuine dialogue matter more than trying to win a debate. Instead of just defending stances like Noah and Leavitt, we should learn to acknowledge the other side's data, like Leavitt's numbers, and human stories like Noah's approach. For example, when discussing immigration, consider both the humanitarian cost of detention camps and the need for national security in real life. This can be applied by joining community forums where Americans from different perspectives share personal stories and data. Rather than just arguing online, by listening, we can build bridges, as Noah once hoped, instead of erecting more walls of division. Thank you for following the fiery showdown between Trevor Noah and Karoline Leavitt. Subscribe to the channel to not miss in-depth analyses of American politics and culture.